Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back to Empowered Esquire TV. So, today, as you know, we are going to continue, as we've always continued, to go on with the show despite whatever tech, this, that, whatever may occur, right? So with that being said, we're going to roll with the punches. Now, while we are at it, I want to address something very quickly before we actually dive into the topic, right? So let me make myself a little bigger here so we can have this convo. Listen, let me address the elephant in the room. I'm wearing a blue shirt. It is royal blue. It is not the same shirt from the last live. Don't try me, okay? Do not even think that you're gonna come at me in this chat talking about, is that the same shirt? It's not the same shirt. As you can see, there are different details. I have to point that out because this is the internet, okay? So now today on the docket, we have Jussie Smollett and the Crumbley parents. I want to give a big shout out to everyone in the chat. Hello to Black Anonymous. Hello to I Am Queen Newton. And hello to Miss Jams. Now, I have queued up for all of you a kind of intro, if you will, an intro video to ease us into this topic if for some reason you are unfamiliar with what happened during this case. Also, hello to a Benny Ford. All righty, so let me go ahead and share my screen with you. Oh, hello, how are you? Good evening to Midnight Green as well. I'm gonna share my screen. Okay, so the video that we are about to watch here is it's about 7 minutes long, and it's just a good way to introduce yourself to this case if you are not at all familiar with what occurred. Okay, so Jussie Smollett was charged with disorderly conduct under Illinois law. There was an incident in which he alleged that he was attacked by two men. And the police later came to find that that attack did not necessarily happen in the manner in which Jussie Smollett reported it. And so he was accused of filing a false police report. Now, from that came these charges for disorderly conduct. Okay, so we're about to watch a snippet discussing Jussie Smollett's testimony, as well as hear from some legal analysis. And then I am going to give you my tidbit on his testimony before we dive into the actual Illinois statute that was controlling here, okay? Now, the trial is over, so we now know that Jussie Smollett was found guilty, okay? So we're, of course, going to also discuss how much time in prison could he be facing, right? And what are his appeal options? What happens from here, okay? Hello to Crime Spotter and Jamar. Thank you for joining us. I'm early today, so I intended on going live at 6, but I was ready around 5:40-ish. And so I thought to myself, well, why make everyone wait? If I'm ready, I'm ready. Let's get it rolling. Let's get the show on the road, right? Let's do it. And I'm sure everyone will find their way in as time permits, okay? So we are going to dive into this little 7-minute video.
Jussie Smollett was back on the stand today at his criminal trial in Chicago, and he testified yesterday that, quote unquote, there was no hoax and that he was the victim of a hate crime. He also said he wrote the $3,500 check to one of the Osendaro brothers for nutrition and training advice. There was also some shocking testimony about his relationship with one of the brothers named Abel. Jussie said the two of them did drugs together and visited a bathhouse a couple of times where they engaged in sexual acts.
We cracked the case.
Do you believe any of his testimony?
I don't. Listen, everyone has their day in court, but why, in his defense, why not fight it? If you have money, the way our justice system is going now, you roll the dice. You stick to your story, you play it out, and you have a chance of winning. That's how our justice system is. That's how I believe it is.
I think that's what we saw with Lori Loughlin. Now that
Isn't
you
that
say
anybody,
that,
though, that's defending themselves?
no. If you have money, it's a big.
You gotta have money.
I think.
Well, that's what I mean.
Yeah, whatever you're accused of, you look at how much money you have, and then you work backwards. But yeah, go ahead.
No, I agree with you, except that if I were, am I on? Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I hear funny things. Okay. If I were, it's just my head, I think.
It's just your voice.
I think if I were Jussie Smollett's lawyers, I would not have had him on the stand. That's where I think he made a big mistake. To me, this screams of ego. The ego to double down, the ego to triple down, the ego to then go on the stand and get cross-examined. All of that's a bad idea. All of that's wrong. I think he's a narcissist that got caught and now he's tripling down.
I think Jeff brought up a really interesting point that we talked about before on the show. Of course, if you have money, you can buy yourself a case to hopefully get yourself out of it, or less jail time, or a plea deal, or whatever it may be. How is that? And I've talked to you about this before, Tori, because, you know, you've talked about very openly on the show that your dad is a defense attorney. How is that legal? Just to say, yes, everybody has their day in court, but why is it legal to make up, not saying this applies to Jussie Smollett, it may, but why can you just make up whatever story you want and then go present it in court?
Well, you're allowed due process in this country.
That's not, how is that due process?
Well, if the juries think he's lying, they're going to have a field day with it, and it seems like the social climate will say it's not good. I don't think this is going to go his way. The whole thing smells fishy. I told them it's like a fish market. The Chicago Police Department, the prosecution, Jussie, all of this smells bad, and I think the juries can sniff it.
But that might be his thing. There were issues with the police department where they did not come off looking good at all. And because of that, think about the O.J. Simpson case. They showed that one of the main officers was a white supremacist, and that's all you need for a little bit of doubt, and here we are. That's why you pay, I don't know what an expensive attorney is, $5,000 an hour or $2,000 an hour to get the Johnny Cochran that finds out that the cop that arrested you has a racial history, and you're a free man in 2021. That's why people pay the money.
Yeah, I want to bring up something else about Jussie Smollett because a lot of our viewers are actually talking just about this. So he testified on stand that CNN host Don Lemon texted him, this is according to Jussie, to warn him that police didn't believe his story during the early part of the investigation. Now, on Don's show last night, he did report on Jussie, but did not mention that his name was brought up. Some are saying that this raises serious ethical questions, especially regarding CNN. We just covered Chris Cuomo and those ethics. Do you think that it's unethical, if it's true, if Don Lemon texted him that?
If it was a private source and the source said, don't use me, and it was to a friend, and he's another black gay icon, and at this point, he didn't have any reason to doubt Jussie Smollett, I don't have a problem with it. What I do have a problem with it is not bringing up stuff like we're now friends or I did text him like last night. He needs to be overtly out there, because CNN has a huge credibility problem. And Don Lemon is like a journalist and an opinion guy, and a journalist and an opinion guy. Which one is he at this point? I need full disclosure and transparency between him and Jussie Smollett. I just think we all deserve that.
Well, I got to ask you this, because I think this is where people, and I've read all the comments from our viewers, are upset. And it kind of goes into the Chris Cuomo thing. And again, I don't know the facts, but this is what is circling in the rumor mill, that what if Don Lemon used his CNN resources in order to investigate, to somehow give information that he gave to Jussie? Would that change your opinion?
No, I think it's unethical. Right, I definitely do, because you're changing your views of what you're saying on the news. Again, is he a lawyer or a journalist? Is he a journalist, or is he have his own opinion? That's up for debate, right? But what station can you tune into to have an unbiased opinion about anything?
The BBC. Probably.
Maybe.
Right.
Maybe. And I mean, I think that's where America's at. So when you're crossing those lines,
your local news stations are actually pretty accurate. But
it's gotten so blurry, Sam, that people wear their political opinions on their chest, literally with a button. Then you're delivering news when you have that button on. It's like, I'm not buying what you're selling. That's where we're at as Americans right now, at least me.
Jeff, and I agree with you. And what happened was, I think we did have just journalists like Peter Jennings that just delivered the news straight down the middle.
Cronkite, let's talk about it.
Yeah. But I think what happened was the opinionated journalists, journalists / editorialists, began to be the norm. You started to see people that didn't just deliver the news, but said, I think the president's ridiculous for doing that, or I want to praise the president. And that got ratings.
It's the ratings.
And so people start to gravitate towards these sources.
But the story gets twisted. Let me just use that story. With Don Lemon, you're like, hey guys, this the police department, blah, 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 Jussie, and then you deliver the news, right? You say, listen, Jussie, he's a friend of mine. I believe the police are involved. Now it's a police investigation about like hate crimes on a gay man or a black man, when the story is about Jussie faking out the police department. Now we're in you don't think it affects your opinion? You're delivering the news like saying the police department is to blame, not Jussie. Now you're giving your opinion.
Yes, but I think where the murkiness, where everybody needs to be crystal clear, is a lot of those cable news shows at that hour are opinion.
It is.
But they don't say it.
It is.
They do say
But they do say fair and balanced, and like, you know, they do imply, they don't say, because sometimes when you're watching something, Sammy, it'll say the comments expressed here do not reflect the station. And unfortunately, I agree with you, we don't have that anymore. So if I'm just a casual viewer and the 5 o'clock hour is CNN delivering just square basic news, and then at 6 o'clock somebody comes on and says Donald Trump is a jerk, how do I distinguish that at 5 this was news and at 6 this is opinion when there's no disclaimer?
Do you think that there should be, right when they show Don Lemon or right when they show Tucker Carlson, that a disclaimer comes up and says this is an opinion based?
Yes.
Again, overtly. You need to be overt. Like, we're all 5-year-olds. This is not news. This is news. That way the lines don't get all blurred.
Right.
All right. I am back. I am going to ask you again to bear with me. You know that we have had for quite some time challenges with our internet, right? And so I've done all that I can. And so when you do all you can, then you do your best, right? So that's what we're going to do. We're going to do our best to work with things as they are. So I'm back in the chat. Hello to Nappy Yankee. Thank you for being awesome and being a great mod here on the channel. As Nappy Yankee says, please like this video, share this video, and subscribe to the channel. If you've been watching me and you're not subbed, why not? It's free. And then you know every time I have a new video. Hello to Nikki Proctor Walden. Hi, Soror. How are you? Hello to Mara Sharice. All righty. And of course, peace to Doug. Doug is always in the building being wonderful. Hello to K Business Podcast as well. Another one of our awesome mods here. All righty. So listen, we are going to have a few combos here. I want to talk about the video that we just watched together. I want us to have a conversation about the substance of some of what we just saw. Okay, so the first thing that we heard is that Jussie Smollett denied, he continued to deny on the stand, right, that he ever lied at all, right, that he ever invented this attack. He denied that this attack was his idea. Now, the brothers who were accused of perpetrating the attack, right, they have maintained that Jussie Smollett, in fact, concocted this entire idea himself, and that he then paid them to carry out the idea, right? So in other words, he came up with the entire idea that he would be attacked. He told them where to meet him, et cetera, et cetera. Now, Jussie Smollett took the stand, and again, he said that he did not, right? He then admitted that he had a intimate relationship with one of the brothers, that they had done illegal substances together and went to a bathhouse. And he then insinuates something about Don Lemon, which I'm sure you've seen online a lot, right? So let's first talk about Jussie's testimony. Jussie's testimony, in my humble opinion, right, did not do much to help his defense. In fact, many of us have to wonder, would it have been better if Jussie Smollett did not take the stand at all? Right? Many people have to wonder that. And so Mara Sharice, I want to highlight her comment so we can talk about this. So Mara says, I will admit that I believe Jussie. I wrote for him, defended him, can't do that anymore. Not since the gay Tupac comment. So initially when I heard of this attack, I have to tell you, I did not believe him. I did not believe it from the beginning. Only because for me, it sounded very outlandish. So I heard that Jussie Smollett was just kind of walking along the street to go to Subway to get dinner. He was approached by these two, at that time, people were saying that they were Caucasian men, who decided to, I guess they knew that he was a guy from Empire, allegedly, right? And they decided to attack him and beat him up and throw bleach on him and tie a noose around his neck. And from the moment I heard it, I thought it was fake. I did. And I was, you know, a lot of my friends judged me for it. Let's just say that. A lot of my friends said to me, I can't believe you would think that. And why would he make that up? And from the very beginning, I thought that it was fake because, like I said, to me, it sounded outlandish. I wasn't sure yet what Jussie's motive would be for making this up, but I felt it in my gut that it didn't happen that way. All right, so let's get back into Jussie's testimony, which, like I said, in my humble opinion, didn't help his defense, right? His testimony didn't do much to help. So he testifies to all of these things, to this past relationship with them, etc. And he doubles down on the fact, the allegation that he did not invent this attack. Now, many people are wondering, if Jussie Smollett really did create this whole thing and pay these brothers, why would he get on the stand and double down on his lie? Why would he lie yet a second time? And let me tell you all, for those of you who do not know, if anyone could truly prove that Jussie Smollett was lying again in court, he could face further charges for lying again, right? Because that follow-up lie in court is perjuring himself. That's another conversation, okay? So when we talk about why would Jussie Smollett get on the stand and double down if he knew he was lying? Well, our commentators in the clip that we just watched, they suggest that he would have been willing to double down because he may buy into the idea that he has enough money to buy himself out of trouble. So my question for everyone in the chat is, do you agree with these commentators that if you have enough money in this country, you can get away with anything? Put a Y in the chat if you agree with that statement and an N if you don't. In the meantime, I'm going to check out some of these comments. So Doug says, it didn't sound right to me as soon as I found out the time of night and the cold temperatures of negative degrees. Doug is pointing out something very good. So it was really late, I think maybe 2 or 3 a.m. in the morning. And also Chicago was, I believe, below freezing at that time. So, it became more and more fantastical the more details came out. Black Anonymous says, I never believed that, dude. I used to live in Chicago. The winters are brutally cold. No one with any sense would go out in an Arctic vortex for a sandwich. Good point. Very good point. All right. Crime Spotter thinks that Jussie did it for publicity. Well, if he did, he got publicity, but good or bad, he's getting it. K Business, his PR team did a terrible job for him. Some people have speculated that this was actually the idea of his PR team. And then we have the follow-up thought to that, right? Because if in fact his PR team concocted this whole thing, then why didn't they hire the perpetrators? Why would they have Jussie Smollett being a direct contact with these guys? This is world's dumbest criminals at this point. Hello to Truth Strong Warrior. How are you? All right. Zion Lex is in the chat. Oh, whoa, I missed that. Hey, Zion Lex, how's it going? Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us. It is awesome to see you in the chat. We always appreciate you over here. You guys go and check out Zion Lex TV. He is an amazing teacher, especially if you're interested in historical religious script. Okay, he's very good with the Torah and the Bible and the Medu Neter and things like that. So go check him out. We also have a few other content creators here. Nappy Yankee is a content creator, and so is Black Anonymous. All righty. Okay, so I see a lot of Y's in the chat. Okay, so it looks like most of you think that it's true, that if you have enough money in this country, you can buy yourself out of anything. Interesting. Huh. Okay, so I think it's rather interesting to see that most of you agree with that statement. Hello to Aaron Edwards. Hello to Miss Jams. Let's see, anyone else that I need to give a little shout out? Not as of yet. All right, so I want to dive into that because that's so interesting. So most of you think that money really can buy yourself out of legal trouble in this country. So is it because you think that money can buy a good attorney? Is that what it is? So let's have our next poll question. Do you think money can buy your way out of trouble because it can buy you a good attorney, or just because people who have money have more power? Which one is it? Is it attorney or power? Let me know in the chat. And while those answers come in, I am going to pull up a little picture for you, an illustration that will show you what Jussie Smollett was charged with before I pull up the Illinois statute that he was charged with violating. Okay, so let me know in the chat. Is it that you get a good attorney, or is it just that you're powerful when you have a lot of money? Let me know. All righty, let me share something with you all. Oh, you know what? My bad. I think I have to pull up the picture first, right? And then I can actually share it with you all. My bad. Okay, now we go share screen. Window perfection. All right, here we go. So this illustration, I'm not going to take credit for it, was created by the Associated Press. All righty, and so Jussie Smollett was found guilty on 5 counts out of 6. So not all 6, okay? He was charged with 6 counts of disorderly conduct under the law of the state of Illinois. You all, I got distracted for a moment because Mac is pacing back and forth, back and forth. I don't know. What's up, pup? You want to come over? No. He's just pacing. He's just walking back and forth, back and forth. Anywho, so Jussie Smollett was convicted of 5 of 6 counts. So let's break that down, shall we? So the first count of disorderly conduct was for telling a police officer that he was a hate crime victim. Okay, so that was for the first false statement that he made to police. Now, the second disorderly conduct charge was for telling an officer that he was a battery victim. Okay, so the second alleged fake or false statement that he made to law enforcement. The third disorderly conduct charge was for telling a detective that he was a hate crime victim. Okay, so again, another false statement made to police. The fourth disorderly conduct charge was for telling a detective that he was a battery victim. Again, telling an officer of the law a false statement. Okay. The fifth disorderly conduct charge was for telling detectives again that he was a battery victim. And then the sixth disorderly conduct charge was for telling the second detective that he was an aggravated battery victim. All right, so Doug, yeah, sometimes he does that when he needs to use the restroom, but I made sure that he went right before we, went live. So I don't think he needs to go. Let's see. He knows how to let me know. Matt, go outside? Go outside? Go outside? No, he doesn't. So I say go outside. And when he needs to go, he tilts his head to the side. Matt, go outside? No, he doesn't need to go. But thank you, though. All righty. I see some more people to say hello to. Hello to Teddy Woodson. Hello to you, Akata. Hello to CJ, AKA. All righty. Am I missing anyone? I don't think so. All righty. So I want to highlight some of the comments per my last question. All right. So Teddy Wilson says it's the power of the attorney. Or is he saying that it doesn't matter? Clarify that for us, Teddy. Are you saying that it's the power of the attorney, or are you saying the power of the attorney doesn't matter? We need some clarification there. Okay. Crime Spotter says money can sometimes get you into certain spaces. At the same time, if you're going to attract too much crap, you're out of here. Good point. Good point. All right, Nappy Yankee has brought up something interesting indeed, although I will not add any commentary to that comment. Hello to Health Light. How are you, Health Light? Health Light says that hiring an expensive attorney doesn't matter, especially when a jury is involved. I want to take a moment to really highlight this comment because Health Light, in my opinion, has said something that is very accurate. Expensive attorneys are not always going to save you. I think Jussie Smollett is an illustration of that, right? Jussie Smollett was just found guilty. Why? Because jurors have a brain. You know, they have an actual brain that is in their head. And so, regardless of how expensive your attorney is, regardless of how much money you have, if your case is sent to a jury, I believe that you will probably be facing a fair chance of being convicted if you are guilty. That's just my humble opinion. I don't think money saves you from jurors. And Healthlight has made an amazing point in saying that. Okay. Now, this is something interesting. So Truth Strong says he could have started an entire race war. Truth Strong, I think you're onto something. And I believe that that is why Jussie Smollett is being made an example of, because he could have started something very dangerous. Mara says her dog paces when he hears something disturbing. Oh, even when I miss it. Oh, okay. Well, that's possible. All right. Okay, so now I am going to bring up the Illinois law. Let me make sure I actually had queued up something to delve more into Jussie's testimony, but I guess that's up to you guys. So do you all want to go through this synopsis of not only Jussie's testimony, but also the testimony of the brothers Bola and Ola? Or do you all just want to move straight into Illinois law? We're having a very democratic process tonight. I like it. I like, the participation. All right. So let me know in the chat. Do you want to go through the synopsis of Bola and Ola's testimony as well? Or you want to hop straight into the law? You can put testimony or law, and then we'll move forward that way. All right. Nappy Yankee has a question for me. Oh, hello to Tribe of Judah, though. Nappy Yankee says, what's the chance of an insanity plea? Oh, no. And he gets institutionalized instead of sent to prison. I doubt that. I think that for Jussie Smollett to try to claim that he needs some sort of mental treatment now would be disingenuous. I don't think the court would go for that. He's proven to be, from what we've seen, quite competent and quite calculated. Tribe of Judah. You know what? Usually I don't do this, but tonight. All right. So Tribe of Judah says, how can Jussie Smollett start a race war when he is not Black? Now, if your personal opinion is that someone who is mixed is not Black, then you better believe that that is a personal opinion. That is not the opinion of the world at large or of this country at large. When biracial children are born, they are labeled as African American. I know many biracial people who have African American and or Black on their birth certificate. So if you do not consider someone to be Black, that is a personal opinion, and that is not the widely held assertion of that person's race. Okay. All righty, Miss Jams wants to know if Jussie will get charged federally. It doesn't seem so. I don't think that they will try to charge him federally for perjuring himself or for anything else. Why did I just repeat that? Or for anything else that he's done. I haven't had dinner yet. That's probably why. Yeah, it doesn't seem like it, Miss Jams. All right, so it looks like most of you want to hear the testimony. Hello to Spiritual Gangsta. Hello to A Lady. A Lady says he can still admit he was on blank and go to rehab. He could still admit that he was on something and say he wants to go to rehab. However, again, consider the juxtaposition. Someone is alleging that they were on drugs, right? If that's the allegation. And that's why they did all these things. they're alleging that they were not within a certain state, right? They were not within a certain mental capacity. But the person who plotted this attack had to be very calculated. So it hurts him. If he's going to allege that substances made him do this, then he's pretty much alleging that he was very coherent while on these substances. Okay? Alrighty. So let's hop into the testimony. That's what most of you all wanted to see. Hello, how are you? Haven't seen much of you. All right, share screen. You know, I always announce when I'm sharing my screen. All right, here we go. So we're gonna take it to the top. So Jussie Smollett continues to deny that he was staging his attack, okay? So here they go into the testimony. So last week, brothers Bola and Ola Osundaro testified that Smollett, okay, I've had my moment, who is Black and gay, directed and paid them to carry out a sham anti-gay and racist attack in order to garner sympathetic media coverage. Their testimony, as well as that of 5 Chicago police investigators, formed the core of the prosecution's case against Smollett. But under oath on Monday, Smollett offered testimony for over 5 hours in which he denied orchestrating the attack. He then suggested that the brothers, whom he knew from the Empire set, may have had other motivations at play. Okay, so as we said, he doubled down, and these brothers testified verbatim that they were hired by Smollett. I don't know. They were hired by Smollett, right? And so again, we go back to our original statements. If this was something concocted by his team, by his PR folks, by whomever, why is it that he was used as the liaison? It's you know, if this was, again, like I said, world's dumbest criminals. I mean, really, okay? Smollett on Monday said that Bola Osundaro, who he called Bon, helped him get illicit substances, including cocaine. He said that he had a romantic relationship with Bola or Bon, and began to forge, between the two at a particular Chicago bathhouse. Okay, so he testified they did things. Okay, we heard that. Now, on a separate occasion, Smollett told jurors that he and Bola stuck away from his brother after the three were at a female strip club together. He then testified that they went into a private room and had an intimate moment with each other. Okay. Bola Osundaro denied having any type of intimate relationship with Jussie Smollett. So not only is it being said that Jussie is lying about the entire way that this attack came about, it's also being said that Jussie is lying about the potential motivations that these men may have had for what they did, right? Because he's kind of alluding that Bola may have had some motivation based upon their prior intimate contact. But Bola is saying that he never had any type of intimate contact with Jussie Smollett at all. So we're hearing vastly different versions of events here. And as we can see, the jury ended up siding with Bola and Ola. Okay. So Smollett testified that he was not friendly with Ola at all. He said that Ola creeped him out and that he didn't really speak to him much. Okay. Jussie Smollett then testified that a hate letter was sent to him in the mail at the Empire Studio in Chicago on January 22nd, 2019, 7 days before the attack. Okay. Smollett said that Bola had approached him about becoming his personal security guard. Something that Smollett told the jury Bola had asked on several occasions. So then Smollett goes on to insinuate that perhaps these two brothers created this whole attack and attacked him to sort of prove to him that he needs security and he should hire them because they wanted to be hired as his personal security. Okay. Now, Aaron Edwards says something interesting. So he says, when you check black or white or Hispanic or etc. on an application, is that opinion? I don't understand what you're trying to say, Aaron. I mean, the person who's checking the box, they have made their assertion of what box applies to them. Whether or not that's their opinion or whether or not they got a DNA test and that's what they use to check the box, how would we know? How would we know? Okay. Alrighty, so back to the article. Now, Smollett said that around lunchtime, he would have himself smoking libation and drive around the neighborhood. Okay. He then denied that he ever planned to stage any attack with these two brothers. Smollett then rejected some of what has been reported, including that he told police that his alleged attackers were wearing MAGA hats. So now Smollett says that he did not say that. Okay, interesting. Interesting. He then tried to explain why he would not give police officers his cell phone, right? And that is the gist of his testimony. Okay. Now, the brothers Bola and Ola also testified, as we know. Okay. And the brothers testified that Jussie was in charge of orchestrating the attack. So they specifically said that. Okay. So, you know, it's interesting. Okay. It's very interesting to hear some of the things that have come up during this testimony. The brothers also testified that Smollett paid them $3,500 to stage this entire attack. Okay. So you've gotten a full picture of the testimony at this point. Okay. So now we are going to dive into, let me see the follow-up to this. You said calling biracial people black or white is an opinion. But what is the point that you're getting at, Aaron? I don't understand. I'm going to give you one more statement to bring this into some realm of me understanding what you're trying to get at here with love. Okay? Otherwise, we're going to have to move on. Crime Spotter says, people make themselves food for political actors to eat every time, so I wouldn't be surprised. Hey, you know, what can I say? What can I say, folks? So now we are going to dive into the Illinois statute, which Jussie Smollett was prosecuted under. Okay, so let me pull that up for us. Copy and paste. Let's do that. Will it still show it? It should still show it, right? Yes. All righty. So here we go. So we are here on the website for the Illinois General Assembly, everyone. Now, again, you know, on this channel, I like to show you where you can find the law yourself, you know, with the hopes that you somehow become a legal nerd like me who likes to just read the law in your free time, right? All right, so Mac does want to go outside. So Aaron Edwards, this is the last time. Someone else who was here, I believe it was Tribe of Judah, said that he does not believe, right, or insinuated that he does not believe that biracial people are black. That is why when I answered him, I said, if it is your opinion that biracial people are not black. So you got to follow the whole conversation. You got to follow the entire stream of consciousness, okay? Okay, don't pick out one portion and try to address that portion. Okay, everyone, so give me one moment. Mac, go outside. I think I'm gonna let him out for one moment. I'll be right back. Alrighty, so I am back now. Let's get into the Illinois General Assembly. So what you're looking at here is the actual law for disorderly conduct. We are on ilga.gov. I'm going to actually copy and paste this link into the chat. All righty. Now, a person commits disorderly conduct when he or she knowingly does any act in such an unreasonable manner as to alarm or disturb another and cause a breach of the peace, right? That's A1. A2, transmits or causes to be transmitted in any manner to the fire department a false alarm of a fire. That's A2. A3, transmits or causes to be transmitted in any manner a threat of destruction of a school building or school property or a threat of violence, death, or bodily harm against persons at a school. Okay. A4, transmits or causes to be transmitted in any manner to a peace officer, public officer, or public employee a report to the effect that an offense will be committed, is being committed, or has been committed, knowing at the time of the transmission that there is no reasonable ground for believing that the offense will be committed, is being committed, or has been committed. Okay, so it looks like A4 applies. Now, A5, transmits or causes to be transmitted in any manner a false report to any public safety agency without the reasonable grounds necessary to believe that transmitting of the report is necessary for the safety and welfare of the public. Okay, so A5 also applies. Now, A6 calls the number 911 or transmits or causes to be transmitted in any manner to a public safety agency for the purpose of making or transmitting a false alarm or complaint and reporting information when, at the time the call or transmission is made, the person knows there is no reasonable ground for making the call or transmission, and further knows that the call or transmission could result in the emergency response of any public safety agency. So from what we read, starting from 4, 5, and 6 all apply to Jussie Smollett, okay? First, he allegedly, now he's convicted of, right, lying to law enforcement by telling them that something was happening and had happened to him that did not actually happen. So that covers 4 and 5, right? 5 in particular, him filing the police report with false information. And then 6 would apply to the 911 call and the police responding, okay? So now let's take it on down. Let's get into this section here, sentence. So this section is going to tell us what sentence Jussie Smollett could possibly be facing. So if you have any question for me about the law that we just went through, please drop your question in the chat. I'll give you all a moment. Do 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 do. Giving you a moment. Alrighty, so we're going to move forward. I don't see any other questions in particular about the law. And I wanted to note for you all that Mac did hear something. He did. Someone had delivered a package and I didn't know. Isn't that crazy? I had no idea. I didn't hear a thing. I don't know how it is that he knew. Anywho, I see there is a question from Crime Spotter. Crime Spotter would like to know, if Smollett said others helped him to hatch the plan, could others be charged? Yes. If Smollett implicates his publicist or anyone else, they can most certainly be charged. Okay. Hello to Mickey Bricks. All right. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining us. All right, so let's get into sentencing since we don't have any questions about the actual law, right? Okay. So a violation of subsection A1 is a class C misdemeanor, but A1 doesn't apply for us, right? So we want A5, what do we say? A4, 5, and 6, right? 4, 5, 6, yes. So we want A4, 5, and 6. So here we go. A violation of subsection A5, okay, is a class A misdemeanor. We're right here, everyone. So violation of subsection 5 is a class A misdemeanor. Okay. Let's see. A violation of subsection 6, 4, 6, or 7 of this section is a class 4 felony. Interesting. So there are certain sections of this statute which the violation of those sections are considered to be a felony. So very, very interesting. It will be, this will be quite curious to see what this sentence ends up being. Okay. All righty. So after we get past those that are felonies and those that are misdemeanors, right? They then go on to mention that they can also, the person once convicted can also be sentenced to community service. Okay, so he could be convicted of a misdemeanor. We see that there is a felony possibility there. Okay, and we see that most of these misdemeanors, just have typical misdemeanor potential as far as any type of jail time or prison time. They only note the special cases of the felonies, which can also be accompanied with financial fines. And then they have, of course, the community service down at the bottom. Let's see if they mention anything else that we should note. No, none of those apply. What is this here? Okay, so this is something interesting that we should note. So if a person is convicted of disorderly conduct under section 6, right? So that's the section where, to remind you, you call 911 and give a false report, right? If a person is convicted of disorderly conduct under section 6, they may be ordered to reimburse the public agency for the cost of the emergency response, up to $10,000, you guys. So in addition to time, based upon whether he's convicted of a misdemeanor or a felony, Jussie Smollett could also be ordered to pay a fine. He could also be ordered to do community service, and he could also be ordered to pay back the police department and the emergency responders for the resources that they used to respond when he called the police. Wow. Very, 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 very interesting. All right, so I am in the chat. I see a question from Nappy Yankee. Nappy Yankee says, if it's proven that some of the crimes in Chicago may have been prevented, had they had the available resources that were wasted by the hoax, how would that play into sentencing? So Nappy Yankee, based upon what we just read, if, as you said, they can somehow quantify and qualify that Jussie Smollett caused an issue by taking resources away from other crimes or other issues, they can have him financially reimburse the state. Mara Charisse, yes, Mara, those ears, he heard them delivering the, I didn't even hear a thing. I didn't hear a thing. But when I just went to let him out, I saw the package and I was like, oh. And he's still hearing something too. I don't know what he's hearing now. All righty. Let's see. I am in the chat. Nikki Briggs said, wow, 10K. Yeah, up to $10,000. So he could be forced to repay the state of Illinois up to $10,000. Black Anonymous says, reimbursement for false 911 calls is common in many states. Okay. All righty. I see we're still having the black or not conversation, which, hey, you're welcome to whatever your opinion is, as I said, that's your opinion. That's not me saying what is or isn't an opinion. Jeez, people. That is someone sharing their opinion, okay? All right, so any questions about Jussie Smollett before we hop into Ethan Crumbley and his parents? Because his parents are being charged with some much more serious charges than Jussie Smollett, by the way. By the way. So I'm going to give you all a moment to kind of search your mind for any questions that you may have for me on Jussie Smollett before we move on. Listen, once we've moved on, we've moved on. Okay, we're not going to do the back and forth. So I'm going to give you a second. All righty. We are going to move on to Ethan Crumbley and his parents. Now, let me cue up for you all what I have ready for you on why the parents are even being charged, right? Before we get into what law they are being charged with violating, okay? All righty, here we go. So, first, we are going to start by me sharing with you this piece, which chronicles the prosecutor in the Crumbley case. She talks about her decision to charge the parents. She talks about why she's charging the parents. And then we get some insight into what the parents are being charged with. Okay. Of course, this has to happen right when I want to share this article with you. I just read it, and now it's going to want me to sign in. And I don't think, oh, I did do one. Let's see. Oh, I didn't have one already? Okay. Is it going to show you all my password? Here, let's do this. Because I'm concerned that you all will see whatever password I create. I mean, as if the New York Times is like some secret thing that I don't want you to see, but you know. Mac, please give me a break, Mac. Hello to Angelica Diallo. How are you? All righty, so let's us go back to it, shall we? Where am I here? Chrome tab. All right. Now, this is just so annoying. You all, you can prep for a show as much as you want to. And I guarantee, what is that noise? No wonder Mac is going crazy. There's so many noises going on outside. You can prep for a show as much as you want to, and I guarantee you that the minute that the show is actually happening, you will have 50 million things happen that were not happening before, you know? And some days it's just so frustrating. It really is some days. I mean, this is just so unnecessary. And in about 2 seconds, I'm just going to tell you all myself what they're being charged with, and we're just going to move on because I'm, at this point, quite annoyed. And I think I'm more adept to being annoyed right now because I didn't have dinner yet. So to be totally truthful with you, I think my annoyance is only heightened by my hunger at this point. Okay. Finally, the New York Times will let me read this article that I'm supposed to be able to read. Are we seeing this? Are we seeing this? Create your free account. It still won't let me read it. It still won't let me read it. No way. I'm done. I'm done. Nope. No more article. We're just going to go straight to the law. I don't have the patience for this today. Not at all. Alrighty. So let me copy and paste this link with the law. And we're going to dive straight into it. Because let me tell you, my patience, I'm too hungry. I don't have it. So let's go share screen. Chrome tab. All right, everyone. So I'm back in the chat. I'm going to say hello to a few people. Yeah, Nappy Yankee, I saved the password. And you see what happened. I'm so annoyed. I can't even. Hello to Lavon says. I think I already said hello to Angelica, but let me just highlight your comment. All right. And Angelica, do you have your own business? Packing orders. What's your business? If you have your own business, please drop the info in the chats, okay? Lavon says, you are very welcome. Hello to Brown Girl Bella. How are you, gorgeous? Alrighty, so yeah, I did the continue with Google thing. I do all these things, Nappy Yankee. I prep for these lives. All of these things were already done, and none of these issues occur until I go live. That's why I get so annoyed, I'm telling you. And this is why a lot of, people who are actually YouTubers, they have a team, because all these things happen in the background. All right. All righty. I already tried. Nappy, I'm done. I'm not bringing up the article. We're done. We are going to focus on the law. So Ethan Crumbley was accused of, or rather has been charged, we'll say that, with injuring and causing the, let me pull up a little synopsis and I will read you the synopsis because I still want to be mindful about what I say, but I think it should be given to you in a more succinct way. So Ethan Crumbley is a 15-year-old student from Michigan, from a high school in Michigan, who ended up taking a weapon into the school and injuring and causing the death of some of his classmates. Okay. Now, it is the norm for someone like Ethan Crumbley to be charged and probably convicted for what he's done, right? That's the norm, right? Ethan Crumbley ended up shooting 11 people, in which 4 of them passed away. So we, of course, expect for Ethan Crumbley to be charged with his crimes and to probably face, some level of persecution, right? We expect that. Now, what is so different and what is so interesting about this case is that Ethan Crumbley's parents are also being held accountable. This is something that is unlike anything that has ever happened before. Now, we've had these conversations, Columbine and other things like that. We've discussed the parents. We've said, well, what about the parents? What about the way that the child is being raised? What about the access to weapons in the home? What about this? What about that, right? We've always had those conversations. But parents have never actually been held legally liable, held responsible in a court of law for the things that their child has done with a weapon that was made available to them, right? So you're wondering to yourself, why is this different? Well, the prosecutor in this case, when she got this case and was assigned this case, as she started to go through the evidence, and I'm telling you a rendition of what she has told the press, right? As she started to go through the evidence, she said to herself, something about it felt as though the parents had so much responsibility. She said she got this sense that the parents had just this overwhelming sense of responsibility in this case. And she just knew that the parents have to be held accountable. Now, part of what led her to get to that place where she said, I have to hold these parents accountable, is the fact that, or rather, let's be nice and say the allegation that the gun that was used in this attack was a gift to Ethan Crumbley from his parents. So that was the first moment that this prosecutor had where she said to herself, I think these parents are more responsible for this than your typical parent whose child brings a weapon to school, And so from there, things began to unravel. We've all heard the allegations of the messages exchanged between the Crumbley parents and their son, in which it seems like they make light of the attack. It seems like they tell him that what he did was okay, that the only problem was him getting caught, right? Things that are, quite frankly, disturbing. Right. And so all of these things added to this prosecutor's thought process when she decided that Ethan Crumbley's parents should be held responsible. So when you're thinking about parents and children in a general way, right, it's important that you note that this prosecutor has made a distinction She is holding the Crumbley parents responsible because she believes that they had an active role in how Ethan Crumbley ended up doing what he did, right? So steps such as I said, allegedly gifting Ethan with the weapon that he used. These are kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Starts with an A. Affirmative. There you go. These are affirmative steps that his parents took towards setting things up so that this attack was possible. So although they did not go into the school with him, right? Although thus far the allegation is not that they necessarily told him to do what he did, thus far they have taken steps that made the attack possible. And that, everyone, is a distinction between just your average parent when their child does something kind of off the wall like this, and these Crumbley parents, right? Mr. and Mrs. Crumbley, okay? Shout out to Swan X. Swan X, that is so sweet of you, but I would never place that responsibility on you, right? You know, you're welcome to drop me a little, a little lunch change, pocket change in the Cash App if you so choose, right? But you absolutely don't have to. And it's very sweet that you even offer. Thank you. All right. Black Anonymous says, also, when the school asked the parents to take him home on that day, they refused. Yes, right? So yet another thing to consider. Ethan Crumbley was already being reprimanded. He was already upset. And he had already made disturbing comments at school. So when you consider that with all of these things, his parents were refusing to remove him from the school, you have parents who took more, that A word, affirmative steps that differ them from the usual parent who, isn't held responsible for their child really losing it and shooting up the school, okay? And Mara says it. Mara says, co-conspiratorial at almost these parents. Yes. And that is exactly what this prosecutor has said in every interview she has done. She has continued to say that this just feels different, that these parents feel more involved than the typical parent. Wow, you see that? That pause that I took? Y'all, I'm going to have to get some dinner popping very soon. Okay, so let's look at this statute, shall we? So for those of you who don't know, Ethan Crumbley's parents are being charged with involuntary manslaughter. Let me put that in the chat for you all. I'm going to do so on my celly. All right, on my cell phone. Ethan, what is going on here? Ethan Crumbley's parents. Parents are being charged, I'm typing this in the chat, with involuntary manslaughter. Okay, I'm just checking. Okay, perfect. So Ethan Crumbley's parents are being charged with involuntary manslaughter for, of course, these students who succumbed to their injuries. Okay, so let's take a look at the Michigan law for involuntary manslaughter, and let's talk about if, and how Mr. and Mrs. Crumbley could try to defend themselves against these allegations. All right, so here we are. We're here on the website for the Michigan legislature. We're looking at the Michigan Penal Code, okay? I like to show you where you can see the law yourself. Why? Because knowledge is power, people, and I want you to be empowered. Hence the channel name, right? So here we are. I'm going to copy and paste this link if you decide to join the Legal Nerd Club along with me and read laws in your free time, okay? Pasted. Perfect. So let's get into it. So manslaughter, this is section 750.321, okay? Any person who shall commit the crime of manslaughter shall be guilty of a felony punishable by imprisonment in state prison not more than 15 years or by fine of not more than $7,500 or both at the discretion of the court. Okay, so what you are looking at here is what his parents could be facing if they are convicted of manslaughter in the state of Michigan. Okay, so now what I'm going to pull up for you is the one moment. Is this it? No, I wanted to pull up for you the definition of manslaughter. Is this it? Let's see. If not, we'll go on Find Law, because you know Find Law has everything we need. We'll go on Find Law, and we will look up manslaughter. Okay, so we can talk about the definition of manslaughter since we know what his parents are potentially facing. Okay, so one more time, because that was kind of legalese-ish. His parents are potentially facing up to 15 years in prison, right? Or a fine of $7,500 at the discretion of the court. Okay, so let's get into manslaughter. We're looking up involuntary manslaughter in particular. Okay, and here, let's get into it. I'm going to share my screen. Stop screen. I have to go to share my new screen with you all. Share. All right, here we go. Perfect. Okay. So, manslaughter in general is just the unlawful slaying of a human being, right? You don't need to have any sort of malice attached to that, okay? Or any foreplanning attached to it. So it's not like a homicide in which the defendant is being accused of planning out what he or she did, okay? Now, involuntary manslaughter. Manslaughter resulting from the failure to perform a legal duty, which is required to safeguard human life, okay? So usually, involuntary manslaughter relates to someone who had some responsibility to do something, right? And they did not do it. Now, here is where I'm going to blow your mind a bit. So the typical use of involuntary manslaughter is for things such as you have a huge vicious dog and your dog loses it and ends up killing someone. Usually you would be charged with involuntary manslaughter for that, right? Because you had the responsibility of making sure that your dog was kept away from other human beings because you have this very, very vicious animal as a pet. So this is the sort of thing that is usually applied to a violation of a statute in regards to involuntary manslaughter. So when you have Ethan Crumbley's parents being charged with involuntary manslaughter, what you have the state saying is, in essence, Ethan Crumbley was a ticking time bomb. The parents should have known their child well enough. The parents should have seen enough signs from their child with the comments made at school, with the behavior at home, right? To know that their child was about to do something dangerous. And because they did not prevent that, they instead took steps to aid that. They are responsible for the deaths that were caused. That is how the involuntary manslaughter statute is being used in this instance. So, as I said, it's usually used for people who own dangerous animals and then their dangerous animal kills someone, things like that. But in this instance, the state is using it to say, if you are a parent who knows that your child has gone off the rails, you have a responsibility to protect the public from your potentially dangerous child. You have a responsibility to get weapons away from them, to restrict their access to weapons if you can, to get them therapy, to get them psychological, psychosomatical assistance, whatever it is they needed, and to withdraw them from school with other children if you see that they cannot function in a healthy manner in that environment. So that is the gist of why Ethan Crumbley's parents are being prosecuted, and really the statement being made by the state of Michigan in this prosecution. They're setting a new standard here, everyone. And, you know, in my humble opinion, they are seeking to stop this from happening. You know, they're seeking to get parents involved with the hope that if parents are involved, less children will pass away from these types of incidents. Okay. All right, so I'm in the chat. I want to highlight a few things. So Mickey Brick said the school should have rung the police there, then and there, to get the parents and the son removed from the school. They could have. Midnight Green says these parents strongly supported the ugly behavior that their son committed. They wouldn't have been overwhelmingly proud if all the charges are dropped against him. Interesting. Not sure I quite get that, but okay. Healthlight says the school saw a red flag with this student. That's also a good point. Should schools have more protocols set up for when they do see these sorts of red flags with students? Probably. They probably should have more of a protocol as to what to do when they have a student showing these sort of signs and making these sort of comments that Ethan Crumbley made before he committed the attack. All right, so any questions for me? Going once, going twice. If there are no questions, I am going to go ahead and head on out, all righty? As Nappy Yankee said, like this video, share this video, and subscribe. So if you've been watching my vids and you're not subscribed, here's my thing. It's free. So why would you not? It is totally free. Now, I want to say thank you to Delilah R for the Cash App. I see you, right? Thank you so much. All right. And I think there might be another one. Is there? I got a notification, but then when I go to notifications, it doesn't show me. Here we go. All right. And thank you to Nappy Yankee for the Cash App. So yes, thank you to Delilah R and Nappy Yankee for your Cash Apps. It is, of course, much appreciated. All righty. Okay, everyone. So I don't see any other questions. All right. Crime Spotter says, does this exist countrywide? So pretty much every state has involuntary manslaughter laws, Crime Spotter. And again, like I said, they're usually used for, when someone owns a dangerous animal and that animal goes off the rails and hurts someone. But it looks like this prosecutor is looking to set new precedent. And if you are an OG here, you know what precedent is, right? If you're a newbie, you may not. So let me put that in the chat for you. Precedent, right? So it looks like this prosecutor may be looking to set new precedent, new case law, by being one of the first to use involuntary manslaughter to hold a parent accountable for the behavior of their child. This way of using this law is new. The law exists all over, but using it this way is nuanced. All right. Black Anonymous says, thank you, as always, for bringing clarification to this situation. You are very welcome, Black Anonymous. Thank you for being here, and thank you to everyone else who joined me today. All righty. So listen, I don't see any further questions. I'm going to go ahead and head on out. I hope that you feel empowered by the legal information that I shared with you today. Feel free to browse these links, come back to this video, check out those penal codes that I put in the chat whenever you like. And if you're catching this on the replay, tell me what you think. What do you think about Jussie Smollett and his whole debacle? Do you think that he will ultimately get those convictions overturned, or is he really going to be held responsible? Okay. And what do you think about parents being held responsible for their children's behavior under the statute of involuntary manslaughter? Manslaughter, really? Manslaughter. Let me know what you think. Anywho, listen, it's been great. Hello to Nkrumah Toure and everybody else. Hello to pseudo charlatans. All right. Yes, catch it on the replay and let me know what you think. I will see you all soon. Bye-bye.